Let's be honest, long haul flights can be a beast. They're boring, they're exhausting. You end up getting off the plane feeling gross, dirty, dehydrated, and tired. But over the years, I've compiled a list of flight tips that will hopefully make your next long haul flight better than the last. First and foremost, dress comfortably. I have a flight outfit that I wear. It doesn't matter if I'm flying for an hour or for 16 hours. My flight outfit consists of plain black leggings with pockets on the side, this cotton short sleeve shirt that I think I got from Ann Taylor Loft probably 10 years ago, a pair of no-show socks, and comfortable tennis shoes. I've tried wearing other outfits and yeah, they do fine, but for some reason, this particular outfit has made me feel the most comfortable. It's breathable, it's got some weight to it, but also I like that it's short sleeves so that I can layer stuff on top of it and not get too hot. And that leads me into my second tip. You've got to dress in layers. We all know that airplane temperatures can vary from being really hot to really cold. And if you're just kind of wearing one type of outfit, like it's all bulky winter wear, or maybe you're getting ready to go to the beach, so it's shorts and a t-shirt or a tank top and flip-flops, you're probably gonna find a moment where you're either too hot or too cold. So if you dress in some sort of layers, especially fabrics that are breathable, you're gonna find that you've got the most variability on being able to regulate your own temperature around however the cabin feels. This leads into my next tip, and that's to wear some sort of comfortable, stretchy pants. If you've ever watched any of the tips that I give on Travel Tips Tuesday over on my Instagram, you'll know that I've talked extensively about something called jet belly. You may not know this, but on top of being a frequent traveler, I'm also a registered nurse. Jet belly is a term that refers to the bloating that happens inside your gut due to changes in cabin pressure. Ways to avoid jet belly are avoiding foods that are very heavy and very greasy right before you get on the flight, and avoiding drinks that have carbonation in them. Just like that bag of chips that you brought onto the plane, it looked totally normal, but then about halfway through your flight, it's like this big. Your gut is an enclosed system that's kind of doing the same thing. So when you put a bunch of air bubbles inside your belly, you get up and the cabin pressure changes mid-flight, your belly's gonna do the same thing. You're gonna feel very full, you're gonna feel very bloated, and you may even feel nauseated. Normally what I do is I try to avoid any alcohol, carbonated beverages, anything with caffeine about 2 hours before my flight and through the entirety of my flight if I can help it. Now that's not to say that I don't partake in a beverage now and again, but if you find that you're getting more nauseated and bloated feeling, especially when you're on those long haul flights, I really would just avoid it altogether if you can. Now back to the stretchy pants because of the jet belly. Sometimes if you do everything perfectly, you're still gonna have that bloating. That's why having a pair of pants on that aren't too tight, especially in the waist, maybe avoiding wearing your belt. I like to wear the stretchy yoga pants because even if my belly expands a little bit, it's gonna be okay and it's not gonna make me feel so constricted and maybe make me feel nauseated in the end. This shirt. Why don't I wear this shirt in everyday life more often? I basically reserve it for flights. It's my flying shirt. Speaking of avoiding alcoholic beverages. Changes in altitude and cabin pressure, recirculating air, beverages like coffee and caffeine and alcohol that dehydrate you, you're going to feel more dehydrated when you're on these long haul flights. You're in that recirculated air longer. If you felt like you were a little bit dehydrated when you got off a 2-hour flight, imagine how all these things affect you when you're getting off of a 10-hour flight. Do your best to hydrate really well before you get on the flight, and do your best to stay hydrated while you're on the flight. That means drinking more things like plain water, or maybe an electrolyte beverage that doesn't have a lot of extra sugars in it. Anything you can do to keep your body hydrated and prevent your body and your skin from feeling like a dried raisin when you deboard. When we went on our honeymoon in the Maldives, we flew business class, and this was a treat for us. So I'm not gonna say that I didn't have some rosé or Jeff have an old fashioned, but we tried to really keep those types of drinks to a minimum because we knew how bad they would dehydrate us in the end. Personally, I would have 1 glass of rosé at the beginning of the flight, and then I would just stick to water for the rest of the flight. Or if you fly Qatar, you have got to try their signature lime mint drink. It is insane. It's so good. It looks like pond water. It's amazing. You gotta try it. On top of that, dehydrated skin is the worst. You're flaky, it's dry, it's itchy. If you're gonna be on a long haul flight, I highly recommend taking off all of your makeup and applying a nice thick moisturizer before you even board the plane. This way, your skin has a nice protective barrier between it and the dry, recirculated air on your 10-hour flight. On the flights where I've left my makeup on for an extended period of time, it's like the air just sucks any bit of moisture right out of my skin, and then I spend the next few days after I've landed in my destination trying to put moisture back into it and even things out. Whereas I found if I just take my makeup off before I even board the plane, I've already applied a nice thick moisturizer, I don't have to do anything else before I can go to sleep because I'm already ready, and then my skin still looks glowing and beautiful when I get to my destination. Speaking of getting ready for bed, stick to your usual bedtime routine. This is going to tell your body that it's time to go to bed because your body is used to doing these exact same routines in your normal circadian rhythm. It helps us have this wind down time and really helps our body and our minds know we're getting into our bed routine, we need to go to sleep. Speaking of this, don't forget the airplane sleep essentials. This includes a neck pillow, an eye mask, some earplugs. Believe me, you're gonna want the earplugs. Maybe for you, it's also a blanket or a shawl to kind of snuggle up and feel cozy. On an airplane, you're gonna have more lighting than you're used to, more sounds than you're used to. The baby 2 rows back has been crying the entire flight. I'm telling you, even if you don't use an eye mask at home or earplugs at home, you're gonna need them when you're on a long haul flight. So let's talk about being on a long haul flight. You're gonna wake up in a different time zone. You don't wanna be jet lagged. How do you avoid it? This tip worked for me, but you may not have the time to do it because it does take some planning. But what I like to do if I'm about to get on a flight that's about to put me in a very different time zone than my usual time zone, I like to pre-plan at least 3 to 4 days in advance before my flight and start getting my body on the time zone that I'm gonna be landing in. When I was about to be on my very first long haul flight overseas to London, I took the few days before my flight to get my body to be on the right time zone when I landed. And I did this by going to bed a little bit earlier every single day. This way, I knew when I got on my flight, I could immediately do my bedroom routine and go to sleep. I could get up before everybody else, and my body and my circadian rhythm is already in the time zone when we land. This helped me a lot because then I was able to really maximize my time there, get out into London all day being a tourist instead of wasting that day being jet lagged and needing to take a nap and not getting up till dinner time. The whole day is gone. So before you take your next long haul or international flight, try slowly changing your internal clock. Just slowly start going to bed earlier. That may mean though that you're going to bed at 3 p.m. in the afternoon. Hey, whatever helps me maximize my time in the UK, am I right? Okay, so you followed all the tips, you used your sleep essentials, you got a good night's rest, and now you're up before anyone else on the plane. You don't have to fight anybody for the bathroom. Take a change of clothes with you and change your clothes before you get off the plane. This just helps you feel refreshed and rejuvenated. Sitting in the same pair of clothes for 10, 12, 15, 16 hours, it doesn't matter that you weren't really doing a whole lot on the plane, you still just feel grimy. So when you go to the bathroom, wash your face, maybe put your makeup on, brush your teeth, change your clothes. That way you can deplane and get right out in there being a tourist instead of having to find a shower because you just feel gross. This next tip really is from the nurse in me. you've got to get up and move around frequently. Really any flight that's more than a couple of hours, but especially on these long haul flights, people don't realize that when you're stagnant that long, you really do open yourself up to potentially getting a blood clot in one of your calves. This risk is also greatly increased if you're short like me and the bottom of the seat sits behind your kneecap the whole time. I really try to keep my legs and the backs of my kneecaps off the bottom of the seat, because when I apply that pressure to the backs of my kneecaps, I'm further reducing the circulation to my calves, ankles, and feet. So my tip to you is get up and walk around on that plane at least every couple of hours. It doesn't have to be a long walk, just getting that circulation moving in your lower extremities. If for some reason you're on a flight and you can't really get up that often, I understand it, especially on these long haul flights where y'all are packed in economy like sardines. Try doing other things to increase circulation to your legs, like leg pumps. You can also do ankle pumps. You can do ankle circles, anything to just keep the circulation going, prevent the blood clots. And since we were talking about going to the bathroom and getting ready to deplane, plan your bathroom times outside of the busy bathroom windows. Especially when you're on a long haul flight, there are way more people on that plane and a lot more people taking up the bathroom time when you really need to go. The three main times that I recommend avoiding going to the bathroom are shortly after takeoff, right after meals, and about an hour before you land. These tend to be the three busiest times on any flight that I've ever been on, so I try to go to the bathroom before I even board the plane. Then I try to go to the bathroom right before or right after I eat my meal, before anybody else's GI tracts get moving. And then, like I said before, I really like to go ahead and get all of my bathroom needs taken care of when I know no one else is up and awake before we land, and I'm also not worried about taking up too much time in the bathroom. Obviously, if you have the privilege of flying business class and first class tend to get your own bathrooms to yourself, which is a real treat, and it really increases the chance that you get to go to the bathroom whenever you want to. If you want to see what our 16-hour business class flight on Qatar to the Maldives looked like, watch this video next.